let's get it going on the Locked On Royals Padres crossover podcast on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your host, Rylan Stiles. You can follow me on Twitter at Rylan_Stiles. Follow the show on Twitter at Locked On Royals. Email the show, lockedonroyals@gmail.com. Javier Reyes joins me right now. You can follow him on Twitter at Javapeno and follow the Locked On Padres podcast anywhere you see podcast from. Thank you so much for making us your first listen every single morning, every single day. We're here for you, talking Royals and Padres baseball, so check us out for sure. This show is brought to you by FanDuel. FanDuel Sportsbook is the official sportsbook of Locked On. Make every moment more by visiting FanDuel.com/LockedOn today to get started. Javi, how are you doing today? Coming off of our episode on Thursday.
I'm doing great. You know why? Because we're about to talk about the legendary event known as the World Baseball Classic. It is something that we haven't had in a while, and I'm excited to talk about it. And both of our teams are relevant. I made a little bit of a crack when we talked about this last show, to the point where one of your listeners literally messaged on Twitter being like, "Hey, tell that other guy to shut." I will admit, I was a little naive, or not naive. I was ignorant. And I didn't realize, while they don't have the best stars out there on some of the best teams,
quit digging.
They do have plenty of players on the roster, and honestly, they do. The Royals deserve a lot more credit. I mean, MJ Melendez rules. You've got Vinny Pasquantino. There are some guys on the Royals. I just think that it was a little bit forgotten because they aren't on like the big teams that everyone talks about, right? And some of the Padres that are on teams aren't either. But like a Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic, USA, Japan, not as many of like the heavy hitters there, but I do apologize. You guys don't have like one representative. And that's what I implied on the last episode. So shout out that fan who pointed that out to us on Twitter.
I hope you're listening to this podcast because you deserve to listen to this podcast, because Javi deserved all the crap that you gave him and then some. As a matter of fact, you didn't give Javi enough crap for the BS that he spewed on these airwaves about the Royals and the World Baseball Classic. Now, since we got that out of the way, let's talk vibes, because I believe the World Baseball Classic is the premier event in baseball this season, and that's right. There's still going to be a World Series to the best of our knowledge, but that doesn't matter because the World Baseball Classic is an event that puts baseball at the forefront. Alongside March Madness, this is going to be an event where there's stakes. And let me tell you something, Javi. Even the most neutral, casual, uninvested baseball fans admit when there are stakes attached to a baseball game, baseball as a sport transcends. Baseball as a sport rises to the occasion and looks like one of the most enjoyable sports to watch. And guess what? The World Baseball Classic is all about stakes. Every pitch, every game matters. Not only that, on top of them mattering, the crowds, the atmospheres of these games will be better than 90% of the baseball atmospheres that MLB can provide you, no matter what teams reach the dance in October. That's why I say this event right here will really whet the appetite for baseball and be the premier event of the season for baseball, because of the vibes surrounding this event, because of the fact that baseball, whenever there's stakes attached to it, is the best game on the planet, and because of the fact that there are stars who are participating. Stars participating and wanting to play is a big part of it. Javi, what are the vibes that we're going to get at the World Baseball Classic?
In the regular season for baseball, it's about an endurance match. It's about having something to comfort you after a long day of work. Even if for me, I've always viewed baseball as a sport literally designed to just kind of be a little bit of in the background, unless it's like a huge game that you can't wait for, division rivalry like a Dodgers Padres, Kershaw versus Darvish. Aside from those, it's something to have on in the background. You eat dinner, maybe talk to some family, some friends, maybe do a little bit of work on the side. It's always there for you. That's how I view regular season baseball. Postseason baseball isn't there for you. It's there to make you feel alive, even if that means sometimes killing you. And what I love about the World Baseball Classic is it's like a taste of that. Like you mentioned, it'll whet the appetite. And, because it starts on March 7th to the 21st, there's just this awesome feeling. I mean, even when games have been played internationally a few times in other places, or I mean, in the case of Puerto Rico, not technically internationally, but you people get my point. That when Francisco Lindor, he hit a home run there, and he's from Puerto Rico. The place went wild. He was enjoying himself. It's great. And you get some of baseball's best, and you get to see some players you're not familiar with. And that's fun. You know what I mean? It's kind of fun to be like, oh, I'm not familiar with who's on the Netherlands team. I'm not totally familiar with who's on Team Japan. Right? Obviously, there's some people who are going to know who Seiya Suzuki is. People, Lord knows, people know who Shohei Ohtani is. He's going to be brought up in the later in the show for sure. But then you get to be introduced to some other talent. Seiya Suzuki and Kodai Senga, they were on Team Japan. You know, those guys are big time stars, or at least have potential to be big time stars now. In the last World Baseball Classic, you got a little bit of taste. You got a preview of them. So everyone always talks about the futures game for baseball, which is still has its merit and value. But this one also can give you a taste of some other players, right? And I think that that's what's so fun about it. And Rylan, I'm just going to do it. Oh, I'm going to do it. You have these old curmudgeons out there. I think that they're in a little bit smaller, but you have your Paul Francis Sullivans, host of Lockdown MLB, great podcast. Go check it out. Who DM'd us at the time of recording us, being like, I used to hate it. I'm like, of course he did. Of course he did. This is probably someone who hated the idea of video games over a pinball machine. This is probably a guy who hated, the new characters being introduced in comics. I want the old stuff all the time. Let me tell you, when you watch a World Baseball Classic game, on top of the playoff atmosphere, the unwritten rules cease to exist. And I know that in current baseball, they've kind of been. I think that's one thing that's been fun about the game, especially ever since Tatis blew up, that you're just not getting that. You know why? Because if someone from Puerto Rico starts celebrating after hitting a nuke, you can't just start throwing at him, because then it's almost like an international incident, practically. You guys know what I mean. I know Puerto Rico is technically part of the U.S., but say the Netherlands, right? Like, that would be like you're declaring war on a country. There's a difference when you do it that way. And I think that's part of why you don't get it. And that's why you get great moments with so much energy, like the Adam Jones catch, like Puerto Rico that one time they made it to the final. I think the last time in 2016, when Yadier Molina's talking all this smack to the other players and all this stuff. That's why you get all that excitement. And it's great. You see different types of teams, different cultures. Always great when you have this stuff, similar to the World Cup in a few ways. And I can't wait for it. And it's been a while. The last time, like, as I mentioned before, was 2016. Because in 2020, obviously the world ended, so they couldn't do it. So now it's back. And Rylan, I cannot freaking wait. I think that people who don't even like baseball are going to find this really fun. I know one of my closest friends never watches baseball, loves the playoffs, and he's going to watch this too. And man, I can't wait.
I can't wait either. And I want to continue talking about this for the the Royals and Padres. It's bound to happen a couple of times a year. I want to keep talking about this for the Royals and Padres on who is participating from our teams, who of our teams we think is going to steal the hearts of a nation, and by nation, that was a bad term to use because they're all nations, steal the hearts of the fan bases watching. So like, Bud Witt Jr. might steal the hearts of the entire world at this event. And we'll talk about that coming up, and also give our predictions on who will win the event and who will be the transcendent icon at the event. Speaking of transcendent icons, Javi, what I say right now, better good friends over at Built Bar. If you're looking for a delicious treat, but do not know where to start because you want to cut out calories, cut out the fats and everything like that, Built Bars are the place to start. It's a protein bar that tastes like a candy bar. Go to BuiltBar.com right now. Promo code LOCK15 gets you 15% off your next order. And Javi, they're great pre-workout, post-workout, or even as a meal replacement or a snack. 130 calories only, and so many unique flavors. Again, that's Built.com, 15% off there. Also at the Walmart and at the Sam's Club pharmacy section. Javi, they have some great limited time only flavors right now. Maple donut, grasshopper cookie, raspberry cheesecake, banana cream pie, caramel apple, lemon dipped cheesecake. But they also have their standard flavors that are there for you every time, like my personal favorite, cookies and cream. Javi, what Built Bar flavor are you rolling with at Built.com?
Cherry Barcia, baby. You know how I roll. It's always the go-to. It's great. I love Cherry Barcia a lot. And hey, Built Bar, and or just contact me if you ever get apple almond crisp back, because I will buy that instantaneously. I miss it so much. I miss it so much, man. It was so good.
It is so good. As are all Built Bars. Check it out today, Built.com. We're back on the Lockdown Royals podcast and Padres podcast, talking about the World Baseball Classic. Javi, I want to know from you, for your money, is this the best vibe baseball has to offer? Because we don't get to see baseball at played like this very often. So here's what happens at the World Baseball Classic if you didn't watch in 2016. I know it's been a long time, you might have forgotten. There's no unwritten rule crap. None of that. You bat flip, you scream, you yell, you rip off your jersey, no buzzers under there. You go and celebrate at second base. In the stands, there's horns, there's drums, there's chants, there's everyone in unison locking into every pitch and providing an atmosphere that only can be described as a World Cup soccer atmosphere. Obviously, it does not reach that height because that is insane in a good way, but it's much more prolific than what you see in an October 3rd game in Philadelphia even. So is this the best bang for your buck in terms of the ambiance of the sport of baseball, where you're seeing the kids get to play, no restrictions in terms of emotion, in terms of passion? You're playing the child's game the way it's supposed to be played, plus the crowd.
Absolutely. You get the vibe, because one of the things that I also love about, say, when you watch the World Cup is you're like, wow, it's like you see all these different fans. You say, I remember when the World Cup was in Brazil a few years back, and you just see everybody going nuts. You get a little bit more of an impassioned thing, because there's a difference between team and country, or state and country if you're used to Major League Baseball, where you're like, there's a difference between the vibe of Kansas City fans versus being like, oh my God, we have the whole country behind us now. And there's a cool vibe to that I think is really great. I will say, and I alluded to it before, one good thing about baseball is it does feel like the unwritten rules thing is slowly kind of going away. It doesn't feel like we're having people like Cole Hamels literally just be featured on SportsCenter being like, yeah, I intended to absolutely just drill him my first at bat for no reason, just because he needs to be taught a lesson, whatever the heck Cole Hamels said. Like, we don't get that anymore, because you would get ratioed, as the kids say, if you try to come out like that. Don't get me wrong, you still have some guys out there. You have Madison Bumgarner, who has charged language when he says things like, it's just not like that anymore. The good old days, when he's like, a lot of new people and whatnot. So that's interesting language from Madison Bumgarner. We don't have to get into that. One of my most hated players in baseball. But yeah, I just think that the vibe is so immaculate. And I do admit there's a bias, because Puerto Rico, what we're known for, apparently swimming, after they won that one gold medal from, I think, the last Olympics, and boxing, and then baseball. That's what we're known for. And in baseball, they're routinely one of the top 4 best teams. So I do understand maybe, Javi, well, you've got, and then if they lose, then you've got the USA too. So yeah, I get that. I know. I have some rooting interest, and I have some fun teams to root for. They're routinely, it's between Japan, US, Dominican Republic, and Puerto Rico as the best teams usually. But hey man, it's so much fun. I just think there's a passion to it. You get new jerseys to be excited about. You get new caps to be excited about. Go check out. Seriously, some of the team ones are awesome. That you guys got to go check out. I think I forgot which one looked really, really cool. I can't remember, but they have one for like every team, some exclusive merch. That's always a lot of fun, right? And then you get to see some of your favorite players. And last point before I let you talk, players that might be on some really crappy teams, and some crappy teams that literally we might not ever see get better. Everyone wants to talk about Mike Trout all the time. Hey, you get to see him win in this potentially. And you definitely get to see Shohei Ohtani, and we get some players on the Royals that we're going to talk about in a little bit too.
Unnecessary shot at the Royals there.
Let's
talk participants. Let's talk about the participants. For the Royals, Ronald Blanes is participating with Max Castillo. Rob Glendinning is with Great Britain. butchered that name, I'm sure. Carlos Hernandez, going to be awesome to watch him play in the World Baseball Classic stage. Nicky Lopez and Vinny Pasquantino over there in Italy, teaming up in the World Baseball Classic, which is fun. MJ Melendez gets to be in a spot, and on the side here, I'm going to break down this roster as we go. So, MJ Melendez, I think is a guy that you're talking about. That I think he's a gamer. I think he is a guy that when the lights are bright, he's going to play his best. And if he gets into moments and if he gets opportunities in the World Baseball Classic when the lights are bright, I think that he'll shine. And we wouldn't otherwise know what kind of player these guys will be this year. Like if MJ Melendez was not playing in the World Baseball Classic and didn't get an at-bat in a clutch moment, we'd never know the type of clutch player he is. But we will find out a little bit of that this year on a granted small sample size for a very young player. But we're getting a glimpse of that where otherwise this year we would not get. So that's awesome. Vinny Pasquantino, who Lindsey Crosby of Locked On Prospects, go check that out for your second listen, says is going to be the AL batting champion. He's playing for Team Italy with Nicky Lopez. Like, you're going to get to see him bright and early. Salvador Perez, we know what he can do. And he's teamed up with Carlos Hernandez as well. And then the two USA guys, Brady Singer and Bobby Witt Jr. Brady Singer was electric post-June 1st. Notice, we said post-June 1st. The Royals season was over post-June 1st. It was over. And the Royals season, by and large, this year probably will be over after the opening day. Like, after opening day, you're probably going to fall out of contention. This is Brady Singer playing and pitching in high priority, high leverage situations that we otherwise would not get to see him in. That's huge. That is huge. By the way, Junior, while we love him in Kansas City, I would imagine he's just going to be like a pinch runner for Team USA. So, like, that's not as exciting. But, like, still, he gets experience around championship quality guys, around elite players. And as a guy who is described as a sponge, as a guy who is described as a player that really absorbs information, to put him in a clubhouse with some of the all-time greats, that can only help him for the future. So that's the Royals participating in the World Baseball Classic and why it matters. Javi, who's for the Padres?
I'm glad you asked, Rylan. Who's for the Padres? Because there's a whole lot of players that you folks might be familiar with. Firstly, let's start about some underrated Padres. Nabil Crismatt, one of a little bit of a Padres cult favorite, I will say. Long inning type of reliever. And Julio Teheran, who they just brought over. Used to be a little bit of a guy with Atlanta. Unfortunately, it's kind of fallen off and whatnot, but they're playing for Team Colombia. Xander Bogaerts, the new signing of the Padres. If Padres fans, you want to see him, it's possible Padres fans have never seen him really play in a live game, even though he's played in games that have mattered with the Red Sox before in the playoffs. He's on Team Netherlands. Ha-Seong Kim, who all of Padres Twitter tried to trade this summer for some reason, and convinced themselves that he wasn't that good just because he's not Tatis. But whatever, he's playing for Team Korea. You've got Seth Lugo, newly acquired Padre, another newly acquired Padre, which is really exciting. For Team Puerto Rico. Whoa! Can't wait for that one. That one's going to be a lot of fun. And then you've got Yu Darvish for Team Japan. Certainly one of the favorites to win it all. And then, as many people on social media have said, the absolutely gargantuan, behemothly loaded Dominican Republic team. Manny Machado, Juan Soto, Luis Garcia, Nelson Cruz, all on that team. A lot of big-time players that are going to be important for the Padres, for sure, are going to be on these teams, and I can't wait. And I'm honestly was at least at one point supposed to be. He's like a pinch player or something like that, but he basically went into this whole thing saying he doesn't want to devalue himself as a relief pitcher and something like that, I remember. And that's totally fine. I get that. But yeah, man, a lot of stars from the Padres in this game, and I can't wait to see him.
You and your stars, Javi. Get out of here. We have stars in Kansas City, too. Patrick Mahomes plays here. Much better than that bum quarterback, Justin Herbert. But nonetheless, Javi, I want to tell you right now about our good friends over at FanDuel, where you can go bet on the Kansas City Chiefs to repeat as Super Bowl champions. But right now, we're midway through the NBA season.
I heard, by the way. I heard
and now is the perfect time. Don't get me started on that. I got to read this FanDuel read. Right now is the perfect time to go download FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because FanDuel lets new customers get a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000 and bonus bets back if your first bet does not hit. Just download the FanDuel app. It's safe, secure, and super easy to use. You can bet on everything from the money line to the point spread to points scored to three-pointers drained, and the best part is you get your winnings right away and can try to secure that same game parlay to increase your winnings. So go there right now to FanDuel.com/lockedon. FanDuel.com/lockedon. In the NBA, you have the game tonight against the Pelicans and Lakers, where the Pelicans are +5 on the road in LA. As far as the World Baseball Classic goes, Team USA is tied for the lead in terms of like favorites to win the event. So go check them out today. They might sneak up on you. They might be one that you want to put some money on. So go check it out today at FanDuel.com/lockedon. That's FanDuel.com/lockedon. We're back on the Locked On Royals, Locked On Padres crossover. Javi, don't get me started by the way in the Chiefs and no one believed in this, because nobody did believe in them. Oh, it's a rebuilding year. Oh, Russell Wilson is going to take the Broncos and their defense to the next level. Oh, Justin Herbert. The Chiefs could finish 4th in the AFC West. Oh, all they did was go win the AFC West. Oh, they're not very good this year. It's going to be Josh Allen who finally emerges and he's better than Mahomes. Oh, it's going to be Justin Burrow. It's Burrowhead. Bug off. Nobody believed in the Chiefs, and the Chiefs went and won another Super Bowl, and you can sit there and cry with your quarterback who's never done diddly poo in this league, who fails in every big moment he never gets into, but somehow it's never his fault. Oh, it's never his fault. Injuries, the receivers, but stop it. Stop it. Get a competent coach and get a winning quarterback, then come talk to me in Kansas City. Javi, I'm not even gonna let you address that point. I'm just gonna sideswipe your organization and your quarterback and move on. Who is winning the World Baseball Classic?
Only thing. First of all, you're wrong about the people counting out the Chiefs. That's absurd. But the only thing
they were picked 4th to win the division this offseason.
Like a random fan-sided blog.
Literal
grader?
ESP,
what are we doing here?
Whoa, calm down there. Literal ESPN analyst picked the Chiefs 4th.
First of all, okay, that's a couple of analysts. They were still one of the betting favorites. No, I will give you the Burrowhead thing did get out of control. I do admit that.
You won one freaking game in Burrowhead, and it's all of a sudden Burrowhead?
Well, he won like the last 4. The last thing I'll say is not getting into the Justin Herbert thing, because you're probably winning my audience over by talking trash on Justin Herbert. But anyway, let's do World Baseball Classic.
Who's going to win it, Javi?
It's going to be Team Puerto Rico that wins it. I think that Javi Baez, my boy, Javier Baez, has been slandered so much, and he is going to go out there and put on a show. He thrives in these moments. So while it is true that they don't have Carlos Correa, which honestly was a big giant like yellow flag, red flag when I saw that, because I was like, oh man, these injury things from over the offseason, the medicals, he is not easing those concerns by also not playing for Team Puerto Rico, which he did play for last time, if I'm not mistaken. You've got Lindor, which will be fantastic. I think that there's some guys with something to prove here. You got Seth Lugo, who is from the Padres, and we've got the power of what's his face? Give me a second. I'm blanking on who the heck is even on our team. This is not a good showing for me. Who else on Team Puerto Rico? Let me make sure I remember. Jose Barrios, who was awful last year. He has a lot to prove. And I think that he's going to come in and hopefully be what he was before. And got the best closer in baseball, and Edwin Diaz. He's ready for a big moment, because unfortunately his team did not give him enough leads to give him the big moments in the playoffs, because he lost to the Padres, right? So I think they're going to be awesome. And Jose Miranda, great rookie player for the Twins. He's going to have a big moment as well. But I think that Baez won't necessarily be good in baseball, like Major League Baseball, but I think he's going to thrive and trick a lot of people into like overdrafting him and believing him again in like fantasy baseball and for the Tigers next year. That's what I think is going to happen. So Puerto Rico's going to
win. Javi, I'm taking Team USA.
Oh,
Would you like to place a friendly wager on Team USA versus Puerto Rico? Who will win it? Now, not to be clear, not the matchup. Mm-hmm. Well, I guess the matchup if we both are right, but whoever wins, I think that one of the two will win. Whoever wins the World Baseball Classic, they've won.
And then if none of them win, then it's a moot bet. Nothing happens.
Unless they play head to head. I don't know the schedule.
Unless they play head to head. Okay, I'm not totally familiar with the schedule either. I don't believe they play USA.
I don't
Well,
think
because
so.
the top 4 teams are pretty much universally it's those
Yeah.
two, so they're not going to play each other like that early. They're probably separated by the groups rankings and whatnot. You know what? Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. I'm so down. I don't know what it can be. You know me. I love doing the Twitter icon wagers. Those are always my favorite. So we could do that for those who are unfamiliar. I'm very much against money wagers just because it's too boring for me. What are we doing here? I like making it that the winner gets to choose the other person's Twitter icon for a week. I have made some very reputable people put like a Pokemon as their picture for a very long time. It's only a week, and it's very funny. Those familiar with Gabrielle Starr, who used to cover the Red Sox and now does for the Boston Herald, she was like this toad Pokemon for a week, and it was honestly so funny. It really is, and I cannot wait.
Let's do it, Javi.
You agree to this? Yes, I cannot wait.
Let's
to
do
see
it.
You saying Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is out for tonight's game, as you have like a Beedrill or a Charmander as your picture. I cannot wait. It's gonna be good. Can't wait.
And you're going to have Eric Hosmer as your avatar, so enjoy it. Thank you for joining us this week. We talked to Eric Hosmer yesterday. Go check it out. Until tomorrow, be good and be good to one.